Hey, I'm Courtney Waterman, your tutor. Lover of anime, manga, and math. And you just tuned into another session of Tutor Me Sempai. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're jumping into a 5th grade topic, converting fractions to decimals. I'll be also going over a shortcut for special types of fractions, so make sure you don't miss that. If you're new to my channel, I'll be putting time codes in for this video in the description box below, so you can skip ahead to whatever part of the video that interests you the most. If you have any question about what you see here today, or even your own homework, be sure to put them in the comment box below, or visit me on Facebook at Tutor Me Sempai and tell me all about it there. When you find this video helpful, remember to leave a like, hit the notification bell, smash the subscribe button, and share this video with a friend. But without further ado, let's take these fractions and make them into decimals. So the first fraction we have today is going to be 5 over 25. And we want to turn that into a decimal. So what does this equal in decimal form? Well, there's only one thing you really have to be thinking of when you're trying to take things from fractions to decimals, and that is the word divide. You want to divide. This is actually a shorthand for division, but not just any kind of division. You want to be more familiar with long division. So if long division is a problem area for you, you can see my video that I'll put up top here, and it shows how you can go through long division, especially when you're dealing with decimals. So be sure to check that out and come back if long division is a little bit more difficult for you. So how do we set this up in long division form? 5 over 25 really gets set up like this. So you're going to have your division symbol right here, and the denominator is going to go on the outside. Now you might be thinking, this looks kind of weird because the denominator is bigger. Well, it doesn't matter because we're going to be using decimals. This is not a whole number, right? This is smaller than a whole number. So when you divide 25 into 5, you should get something smaller than a whole number for a decimal as well. So that's why we put the denominator on the outside and the numerator on the inside. And if you're already familiar with how to do long division with decimals, then you know that we're going to have to add a 0 here, but not without putting this decimal here. So we're not actually doing 50, but we're adding zeros after the decimal. And you know that when you add a 0 after the decimal, you're not changing the value. So it doesn't matter if you have 5, 5.0, 5.00, or 5 point as many zeros as you can possibly write. This all means the same exact thing. So now that you set up this division, you see that this really just equals this. You can go on and divide it now. So 25 doesn't go into 5, right? So we're not going to put anything here, or if you used to my last video, I put a 0 here, just to kind of reiterate that this doesn't have anything, right? 0 times 25, give you that, so you bring down that 5, and then you bring down the 0 here. However, this decimal is going to have to make its way on top, just like this, right over itself. And then we can move forward, right? Now we have this 50, and how many times does 25 go into 50? Well, that's going to be 2 times, right? And then we do the 2 times 25, and we get this 50 here, and then we get a good old-fashioned 0. So if we were to have this fraction 5 over 25, we know that the answer is going to be 0.2. So you can write it like this. 5 over 25 really just equals 0.2 in decimal form. So you see that converting a fraction into a decimal really just depends on how good you are at long division. And if you're not that great with long division, it just means that you have to practice a little bit harder. With more practice, you become more familiar with it and things get a little bit easier. So now we have our second example. And I promised you that I would show you a shortcut for special types of fractions. Well, this is that type of fraction. So what's special about this? The 100 is special about it. Whenever you have 100 in the denominator, or you have a fraction that can easily make 100 in the denominator, I consider that the special type of fraction that this shortcut is going to be useful for. So whenever you have 100 or can make 100 in the bottom, you don't have to actually do the long division. You can bypass the entire thing and still get your decimal. When you can make or have 100 in the denominator, you can quite simply write the numerator and put the decimal in front. So 91 over 100 is equivalent to 0.91. So if you had 60 over 100, it would be 0.60. There are some slight modifications depending on how your numerator looks. So if you have 7 over 100, you can't just say that's 0.7. That's wrong. What you need to do here is move it over one more. So instead of 0.7, it's 0.07. And an easy thing to help you remember where to put your decimal is start from the right and then go over 2. If you can do that, you only have to remember to put your 0 because your decimal will naturally leave space for it. So if you start from the right of your number and you move over 2, that is where your decimal is going to go, as long as you can put 100 in the denominator. So we're going to set this fraction 44 over 50 in long division form. So the denominator goes on the outside and the numerator goes on the inside. And you realize quickly that 50 won't go into 44, so we're going to just automatically set this up with an extra 0. Don't forget your decimal here. And this means that the decimal is going to show up here anyway, so you might as well just put that there too. And you don't have to put the zeros here, but if you're so used to doing that, I know I showed that to you in my video, you can easily do that. And that's just going to give you this 4 coming down here, that 4 is going to come here, and you're going to see, once again, you can't go into it, so bring the whole 44 down, and then you finally bring down the 0, and now you have something you could potentially go into. So you could skip these 2 steps here if you understand that 50 won't go into 44. However, if this makes you feel more comfortable, do that. Now you have 50 going into 440. Well, how many times does 50 go into 440? Well, that's going to be 8 times, right? Because 8 times 5 gives you 40, and we have an extra 0 here, so you get 400. So when you subtract these, you get 40 once again, and we're going to add another 0 because we're not done. We're going to keep going until we can't go anymore. So now you have 50 going into 400. Well, we know it exactly goes into 400 8 times, so we're going to put another 8 here and then finish this off. So our decimal form is 0.88. That's our answer. And we've seen it in long division. Now let's see our shortcut. 50 can easily go into 100, right? What do you have to do in order to make 50 go to 100? You have to multiply by 2. So what happens when you multiply the bottom by 2 within a fraction? Well, to keep things consistent, you have to multiply the top by 2 as well. So what happens when you do 44 times 2? Well, 44 times 2 is going to be 88. You starting to see the resemblance? 88 is 2 digits, right? So if you write your 88 here and you start from the right and you move over 2 spaces, like we talked about, this is going to equal 0.88. 88 over 100. 100 being our special number in our denominator, we can easily just move it over 2 spaces and our answer is the same. These are exactly the same. So it doesn't matter if you do the long division or you do the shortcut. If you have this 100 in the denominator, it's going to be the same thing. So let me reiterate this one more time before we close. This works because 100 is in the denominator. If you have 101 in your denominator, this is not going to work. If you have 103 in your denominator, it's not going to work. If you have 250 in your denominator, it's not going to work. You can't simply do this 2 digits to the left and think you're going to get your answer. As long as you have strictly 100 exactly, you can do this shortcut. So I hope you have followed on to these examples, and I hope you found the shortcut I showed you helpful. If you have any questions about what you saw here today, or even your own homework, remember, always put them in the comment box below. I like to read those and help you as much as I can. If you feel like your question is too big for the comment box, visit me on Facebook at Tutor Me Sempai and tell me all about it there. If you haven't done so yet, please leave a like. It really helps the channel and I can't stress that enough. Remember to hit that notification bell, smash the subscribe button, and share this video with a friend. Well, that's all the time I have for today. I really hope this helped with your homework, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. I'm Courtney, and this is another session of Tutor Me Sempai.